Do you have any questions? I hope you do, because
In America,
you don't want me to go through all of that again.
Free for adoption, but are still.
Yes, sir.
Do you offer medical care for the girls that are there, and are the doctors provided, or who pays for, or how with their birthing and all?
You want to answer this one?
Hi. Our girls, usually, they apply for Medicaid, and I help them through that process. And so that's one of the first things that we try to do in the first 48, 72 hours is to make sure that we're getting those things covered. And sometimes a girl will come with insurance, and so then we go through, we have to work through that too, because we have to make sure that they're, they have pregnancy related insurance, because a lot of times they don't. And so, so the majority of them, yes, are on Medicaid, and then we have different doctors in the area that see the girls. And one of the doctors that used to see them mostly was Dr. Lazzetti. And so that we've branched out a little bit since then, since Medicaid has changed so much. Like, I'm sure this lady that works with Net Health is familiar.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's familiar how Medicaid has changed. And so it's more insurance, and so anyways, yeah.
So it's covered by Medicaid,
So the
and we
girls
work them
have
through that.
their babies in hospitals
Yes.
in the area?
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Do most of your girls from Smith County or other counties?
Oh, we get girls from everywhere. The girl who came from the farthest away was from Malaysia. Her dad worked with Exxon Oil in Malaysia, and she had gotten involved with another American young guy over there, and she was 15. So he called back to his friends in Texas and started going through all the different networks and ended up hearing about Living Alternatives, and he brought her here, and we had her through pregnancy, and she placed her baby for adoption, and it was a very beautiful redemptive story that happened from that. So there's no boundaries to where we will take girls from. Girls come to the home, they say, well, what do you have to do to be able to get into Fatherheart? Well, really, you just have to want to be there. That's it. We bring them in, we talk about that we're a Christian ministry. You don't have to be a Christian to come live at Fatherheart. We want them to know that we're Christians, and we believe Jesus is going to be the one who's going to offer them the best hope that they have for moving on with their future is to come to know Him. But we're not demanding that they know Jesus, but we certainly saturate them within the culture. Not just, we do go to church with them, those kinds of things, but really because we're all missionaries that are working within it, it's like pregnancy is the key that God's given us for evangelism. That's all, I'm so focused on the evangelism side that sometimes I'm like, oh, they're having a baby, I forget about that. We've got Tricia and the staff are over there taking care of all that baby stuff. So yes, evangelism is our heart. We just, we're just reaching a felt need that's in the culture. It's not going away. We haven't solved it, even though we've been here 30 years, And I would tell you too that every 5 years the girls change. The kind of girl that we see there changes because our culture has changed. This video was made several years ago, and we said 30% of the girls placed for adoption. Well, that's not true anymore. We have many more girls that are keeping their babies, and there's not a thought of, how am I going to take care of this baby? It's like, I'm having a baby, it's my baby. So it's this entitlement culture that we're up against right now. We still have adoptions. We've had 2 just in the last month, I guess, or so. And so things are changing because the culture has changed. 5 years ago, 10 years ago for sure, when girls were pregnant and not married, they'd be like, what am I going to do? How am I going to take care of this baby? Well, that's when we start. We never think, even the youngest girl, I'll say, you can't place this baby for adoption because you're 15 and your parents aren't going to help you. That can't be the reason. It could be a secondary reason, but it can't be the primary reason. The primary reason to choose to place your baby for adoption is that you love this baby so much that you want the baby to have more than what you can provide, and you're willing to walk away. It's a lot like Jesus giving up his life on the cross because of love. So that's where we go at with adoption and preparing girls for adoption. And the more mature a girl is, the more likely she is to place for adoption. The less mature she is, the less likely she's going to. And that's very sad, because you can see what that looks like when it lands into the culture then. So, so adoption's a beautiful ministry, and there's every time you just, it is love sacrifice to see that girl get up, walk across the room and place that baby into the arms of the new mom and dad is beautifully heartbreaking. And yet she knows what she's doing, she knows why she's doing it. And then there's a whole bunch of things about where the couple is very much in relationship with her by the time they actually move in. Many times our couples go, can we just adopt her too? You know, because we love her and her family, and we recognize the sacrifice that they're making. So it's a very honoring situation. Sometimes our girls are just so brokenhearted, they're like, I know I need to place this baby, and they'll be sobbing, and then the couple will say, I can't leave her here like this, and we're like, yes you can, we're taking that baby and put him in the car seat, now go, so we can take care of her. But that's their heart, you know, and she's not saying she wants to change her mind, she's just going through the grieving process of letting go. Carol Morgan leads our adoption, she's the director of the adoption agency, and that's what she's done for 30 years. She's been with us, and she deals with grief all the time, every single time. The baby always dies to someone, either to the mom because she's letting go, or to the adoptive couple that's now disappointed that she changed her mind and didn't place. And so she does grief support. I hate to say counseling, because it throws you off into a mindset of something that's different than what we do. We're very present missionaries in that whole process. So, yes.
How involved is the state in the adoptions, and are they private adoptions?
Yeah,
How hard is it to adopt?
they're
Private
private.
organizations?
Yeah, they're private agency adoptions. Otherwise, we have a license from the state to do adoption. So we do everything that has to do. Licensing comes in and checks our paperwork. You know, to me, paperwork is, we just got to do it in order to do what the ministry that we want to do. Our paperwork is not our ministry. We do the paperwork in order to enable us to do the ministry. So we screen the couples. We have a training time for couples that are interested in infant adoption, where we really minister to them for a day about inviting them into the ministry to a birth mom. Many times couples leave that orientation and go, we came here because we wanted a baby, but we're leaving with the ministry. Thank you so much. And so, yeah, we do everything.
How long do they have to wait often?
You know, there's no really a waiting list. We just say, you may get a call next week from us, or you may never hear from us, because we don't have any guarantees. We're here to serve the birth mother. And when a mom wants to place for adoption, then we look for the couple to invite them in, rather than having the couple be our client and say to us, you know, we're looking for babies so that our clients can get babies. That's not what we're about. So instead we keep a pool of about 20, maybe 30 couples, just depends, because we do adoptions from the community too, not just from Father Heart, but the community girls will walk in as well. So those waiting couples have just been through our orientation. They've gotten their home study. They've done all of their whatever they need to do to be completely ready. And then they put together a photo album, and then Carol will have those photo albums in her office. And as she's working with the girls, then we get to know our families. Again, it's so hard to explain it in ministry terms, because these are traditional things that are usually taken care of by secular agencies, so I have to use secular words. But really, we invite the church in to we just have a license that enables us to be legal with the state to do ministry. So we know our couples very well, or as well as we can in the encounters that we have, so that when she's working with the girl, she can go, I think Mr. and Mrs. Brown could be a good fit here, and maybe the Jones would be a fit too, and maybe the Niggemeyers would, you know. And so then she'll offer that girl those three albums and say, what do you think? You know, pray over them, look them through. And most of the times the girls will choose one from that. Sometimes they don't. They go, it's not doing it for me. Okay, well then she'll go back and say, let me give her another 3. We don't just say, here's 30 albums, just stay up all night and see which one you like the best, who looks like they're the richest, smartest, or whatever. That's not what it's about. It's about making a good relational connect between these two two families. Therefore, we just say, you may never get a baby, or you may get one next week. I mean, it literally can happen that quickly because you just walked in and you happen to be the right fit for that, and it's a God thing. You know, it's hard to explain, but when you're in it, you know it, you know.
Do you
So,
have to be a resident of Texas?
yes, if they're adopting. Well, it's not 100%. Okay, you don't. We can legally place children. We can legally place children in another state. We don't choose to do that because of our personal relationship with the girls and with the couples. It's pretty hard to do that with somebody who's in California, you know, far off. So we prefer couples that are here. Now, the one exception of that is children of color, and that's because we don't have as many families that are open to kids of color. But that's changing even now rapidly. So we do accept people coming. We do have a few people that come every time into we only do an orientation one time a year, and it's in the first quarter of the year. And so we have, you know, we legally can do it, but we still want that connect. Because we then follow this adoption through. Like right now, we're doing reunions of biological children with their biological parents with the adoptive family, because see, we have the adoptive family involved in the beginning, so that 18 years later they're still involved. You know, there's been letters and pictures going back and forth. You know, we don't necessarily do open adoption, although we're seeing some more and more openness in particular situations because there's been a good connect. We have some adoptions where the adoptive parents are ministering to that birth mother, and she's not even all concerned about her baby. She just wants to see the couple, because they were so, it's a very deeply spiritual moment when, you know, so that's what we're about in our infant adoption. Now, our For the One program, that's different. That's our older kids from Child Protective Services, and so, then we're recruiting families for them as well.
Because I've got a niece and her husband that have never been able to have children, and they've never been able to adopt because of the expense. Is it as great?
There's still an
to
expense.
living alternative?
Yeah, there's a sliding scale, so it can go down as low as $7,000, which many times doesn't even cover the direct expense, and it can go as high as $17,000. But it does have to do with income, and there's a lot to this to even explain it to you. But it's not about paying for buying a baby. That's not what it's about. It's based on this sliding scale on the couple's income, and then that monies go back into the ministry. We would like to give everybody a tax deductible receipt for that. That's over and above what the expenses are. But it's what allows us to do the lower income families. We have missionaries that have adopted children, so that make $20,000 a year. So we're not knocking them out because you're not making whatever, you know, $60,000 a year, middle income, whatever, you know. We don't knock people out. If we can approve you love Jesus and God's calling you to this child, we're going to jump through the hoops to make sure that happens. And so that's why we get to do our own home studies too, which I'm glad. We're not subject to the state to say, you know, well, we're not going to place with them because they don't make enough money. I mean, we've placed babies with people that make $10,000. You know, they're still living. They still have gifts in kind. They're something, you know, they're not on the streets. They're not homeless. And so it just has to do with the ministry aspect of it. So again, I would encourage people to apply with Loving Alternatives, because we are always looking for we're looking for strong Christian families. It's not going to go if they're not a strong Christian family, and it comes out. Actually, we send out a letter when somebody says we want to know about infant adoption. We send out a letter. We explain that we are a Christian ministry. We only place with Christians, mom, dad, male, female. We're even having to say that pretty soon. And actually, our logo for our loving agency was always the rainbow, because it's the covenant, and it's the girl making the covenant with the couple, you know. Now we got to redo our logo because of the attention it's attracting is not the attention that we want. So anyways, we're here to enable whatever God's doing. You know, it's not us. It's God, what are you doing in all these people's lives? You know, use our license, use the things that you've given us to help make that go. So come, it doesn't mean that they'll get a baby, but it doesn't mean that they won't. They may get a baby next week. Literally, it can happen that way. Well, I met so-and-so, and they came to that orientation, and it just seems like, is that a click or what? You know, so you just sometimes know. We had some people that were working with a Christian camp in another, this was years ago, in another state. And every place I went in Tyler, somebody was coming up to me, do you know so-and-so? And I'm going, no, I don't. Oh, you ought to know them. They're just wonderful Christians and they want to adopt a baby and, you know, whatever. And so we had a birth mom that walked into our office and she looked just like the birth mom looked just like the adoptive couple. And as we started getting to know her and know them, it was like, we don't even need to go any further. This is obviously the situation. And so and they were in another state and we did that. So, of course, we said, we don't place out of state, but if you're ever in town, just come by and say hello. So they came by and said hello, and that's all that it took. So, that's kind of the adoption end of it all.
Like, a little while ago, you were saying that one of the needs you have is financial. How do you go about committing monthly giving or one-time giving or?
We have some little cards you can pick up today for just that. We didn't put them out. I'm not a very good fundraiser, to tell you the truth. I just tell what we're doing. So, but yes, we can bank draft it any way that you would like to. Finances are obviously a need. That we charge there's no charge for any of our services to the girls that are coming in to help. It takes about $30,000 a month to run all the aspects of our ministry. That's actually pretty low, but that's because we're not paying salaries. Now, I did just hire a person to help me because I don't have the Youth with a Mission person is not there. And so it's like, okay, if Bev's gonna keep moving this ministry forward, I gotta hire somebody to help with paperwork. So we just hired a little gal to do that. But so we're always, but yes, finances are a big deal. So $30,000 to run all that we run, it's been pretty good. I can tell you that about $15,000, if you averaged it out over our whole year, we get half of what we get the $15,000, around $10,000 to $15,000 every year that comes in bank drafts, people who are committed. The other half, we trust the Lord for. They're either from one-time donations of people just giving that $5,000 check, and we go, thank you, Jesus. Now we're really moving forward here, But then we do have a tennis tournament in Tyler called the Hope Open. Dr. Heaton sponsors that. And that probably raises about $75,000, so that goes into our operational budget. That's very helpful. That's pretty about all that we do. The what? Oh yeah, we have a tent event that's coming up. We've done banquets every year, but this year we're having a tent event out at Father Hart Maternity Home. If you're interested in that, let me know. I'll make sure that you get an invitation to that, where it's going to be more of a heavy hors d'oeuvres kind of thing in a tent that's right out there on our property with beautiful 40 acres property, beautiful sunsets out there in November. And then there'll be a fundraising pitch there that'll be a lot more directed, because we're at this place now where we've done a lot of, God's doing great things. We're going to continue to maintain everything that we're doing, but it's time to expand. It's time the biggest need we have now is we need to build a home on our property for minors. 3 years ago, licensing came in and said, we're no longer going to allow you to keep girls under 18 unless you have a group residential license. So at that point, we had to stop taking minors, and so we want to get back to our minors, and we're getting calls from people who really have young girls that are under 18. So that's a huge need on our Father Hart property. We have 40 acres of property. It's a 10,000 square foot house. We have 10 bedrooms in that house, so we need to get up and going for our minors, but we need a separate facility for them because of licensing issues. It's very interesting because I left the mental health field in California after working for 10 years and had a good salary and all of that to come into missions. But I left because I didn't want to do that humanistic thing. I just want to serve Jesus, I'm being a missionary. And now what am I doing? I am dealing with state stuff all the time. I deal with standards. I deal with all of that. So, God doesn't waste anything, even the thing we're trying to run away from. He uses it now that I've been able to learn as I go, because I have some foundation there. So we want to do the Miners House, our resource center, and our pregnancy testing center that you saw on the resource center, our building blocks program you saw on the video here. It's just two little houses right there on Baxter Street. There's the Baptist Student Union, then there's two residences, then there's then our two houses, and then there's a doctor's office on the other side. So the next thing we're gonna do, we feel the Lord is directing as we see the funds come in for it, we want to take those buildings down and make that a much more presentable office kind of looking thing there in Tyler. We see 130 girls a month come there for free pregnancy tests. Every Tuesday we do 20 to 30 sonograms. They're lined up outside the door to come in to get the sonograms. Life and death decisions are made at that center every single week. We see dads, when they see their baby on the sonogram machine, they can be in there saying, we're gonna have an abortion, or I'm not gonna do this, blah, 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 blah. They see that baby on the sonogram and they're like, wow, that's my baby. We're not having an abortion. And the girl's like, what? I thought that's what we're here for. No, you're having that baby. That's my son, you know. And so they're doing the sonogram and say, oh, we had one just a few weeks ago. And the sonogram person was saying, oh, look at her little toe. It's longer than her big toe. And the mom went, that's my baby. That's how my toes are. So little simple things like that. And then we have a baby that's going to be born instead of the death decision. So it's amazing. There's lots of room for volunteers if you want to get your hands in there and really minister to girls. Both the Building Blocks program is run by mommy mentors. She does like ladies who have children, because you're mentoring young mothers through their pregnancy and through the first year of the baby's life. They have different kinds of curriculum there that you can go through with either parenting skills or discipleship things, or just meeting with a mommy mentor. They get so many points, they complete certain things there, then they get so many points. They take those points to the baby block shop right there, and then they can exchange the points for baby clothes and diapers or cribs or whatever there. We are a beneficiary of whatever we can get in 20 minutes from the CCC sale in Tyler, and if you go to CCC sale, so when they close, they give us 20 minutes to go in first and gather all that we can. That's happening tonight. If you want to go help hoard clothes for Living Alternatives, you just show up there at whatever time, 5:30. And
Harvey Hall?
so Harvey Hall. We just jump in and we get as much as we can. We only have 20 minutes, and then when we're out, then Salvation Army comes in and cleans out everything else. So, but the founders of that have given us that 20 minutes, and that stocks us through till the next CCC sale. So we have plenty of stuff.
That sounds
And
fun.
The girls work for it. It is fun, and we need guys, because there is heavy things in there too. 5:30.
Okay.
But she'll check to make sure. But yes, it's whatever you can get and pick up and cram out into the box truck that we line up there. And,
Tell them where it is.
It's at Harvey Hall. You know
Where is
Hall?
Harvey
In
Hall?
Tyler.
It's in Tyler, right next to the Rose Garden.
The convention center, the state fairgrounds, and
And after you're done, she takes you out for free ice cream.
Yeah, right. That's very
Free
important
ice
to
cream.
missionaries that we're recruiting. To you all, it may not be that important, but you can get missionaries to respond for free ice cream after. So, yes. So, okay. Another question before I can beat any one of these subjects
A
to
practical
death.
question. If
Yes.
somebody wanted to volunteer, what should they do after today?
They should pick up the brochures out there. Actually, I think the numbers are actually on this one. Yes, the numbers are on the back. How do you volunteer? You can call it whichever one you're interested in, the Resource Center, Building Blocks. Keeps is mostly run by teenage girls. So if you got some teenagers that would like to express their friendship evangelism to teen girls that are in the foster system, they come to the Keeps Boutique shop, and then they're by appointment. And then our young teenage girls meet them and say, try this. Oh, I don't even know, probably 15, 16, probably around there, you know, where they feel comfortable enough to talk to these girls. So they'll help them pick out clothes, and of course it's all free. And then I think they get like 6 outfits when they come, and then they talk to them about their life and they pray with them.
So you'd have people that donate those clothes to Or is that one-
We need people to donate those clothes. We had a connection with the market in Dallas, and that was very nice because they were all brand new clothes. We still want brand new clothes. So if there's people, if you're running through Walmart and go, this would be great for keeps, I'm gonna buy that outfit and send it over there to them. That would be extremely helpful because we're really trying to stay away from the secondhand store kind of experience, so that when you saw the picture on here, it's gorgeous. And they not only that's where they begin to meet these girls and make connections. And this is another place if you want to help. We have Girls Night Out. They'll do 2 or 3 of those during the year. And that's where they bring these foster girls in that they have made connections at Keeps. And I mean, it is the chocolate fountain experience. It is the whole up here kind of deal. And then they'll bring a message, whatever the leaders feel is on God's heart to share with those girls. They usually have a little gift for them, and they always pray for them before they leave. There's just we have one girl that we met her in Keeps, and she just went through our discipleship training school with Youth with a Mission, which, by the way, I did bring a few things in Youth with a Mission here if you're interested in the roots of what Living Alternatives is about. You can get that through our YWAM literature here. But she just came through our schools, and she was volunteering at Father Heart here for a little while. Now she's going off to chef school, but she's probably going to come back as a missionary at some point. So wonderful redemption opportunities there. So that's our Keeps ministry, reaching out to girls in foster care, teen girls in foster care. So yes, please buy nice new clothes and give them to Keeps. And then maternity clothes, we don't care. You can give those to us. You could have wore them 6 times. That's fine. We still want your maternity clothes because that's very helpful. That's a different targeted ministry. So, anything else?
The girls that live with you when they're pregnant, after they have the baby, how does that transition back into real life?
Well, real life is we need to raise more finances because we want to build an aftercare program on our property as well. But what's happening right now, there are aftercare programs throughout several in Texas. I don't know how many, but several. And so we do hook up with them. See, while the girls are pregnant, we're working with them. Where are you going from here? And what does that look like? Sometimes they're like, I'm going to live with my boyfriend. Like, okay, well, what does that look like? Where's he been? We don't keep boyfriends, we don't keep fathers of the babies away from the girls while they're at Father Heart. We say, come, honey, he hasn't been here. What's that gonna look like, So we want them to come because they're part of this whole ministry outreach. So, it works. There are some places out there. It's not us, the girls have such a relationship with us. They want to stay out. We would like to keep them on to move them forward. We used to do that more. I say that I'm always telling people, we don't do aftercare. We don't do aftercare. In fact, we even kept aftercare out of this brochure. And yet, guess what? There are 3 babies.
2, soon to be 4.
Yeah. 2 babies, soon to be 4 babies that are at Father Heart with our other girls. So we're still doing it. These particularly 4 girls all want to go to a discipleship training school, so they're having bake sales and doing all kinds of things, trying to raise their $3,000 tuition so that they can go to our Youth with a Mission training school, which would be wonderful. These are girls that didn't come from Christian families. They didn't have a clue about God. Now all of a sudden they're like, hey, this God thing is really real. He's real in my heart. He's changed my life and I want to follow him. So, so aftercare, that's one that would be on the master plan for our 40-acre property. Aftercare, foster care. We have 2 mobile homes on our property right now that are foster caring with Youth with Mission missionaries, doing a tremendous job out there for children. We take the kids that are harder than what we can find a family for, and then we get them so they can get their feet on the ground. Then they become adoptable, and we find an adoptive home for them. So Father Heart's a wonderful place for kids. We'd love to see that develop so that it was larger. It's just a healing place. Lots of places to run around and have fun and be with other kids. I mean, the kids running out of my office going, have you found me a family yet? I said, honey, I'm looking. God has them. I got to find them. They're out there. Your family's out there. I just have to find them. And I'm looking for them. God's helping me. So, okay. All right. I think we've exhausted them. Well, thanks a bunch. We really do just appreciate the time. And, oh yeah, here's some, oh yeah. Yeah, there's I think she sent around a pad of paper if you'd like to be on our mailing list, our email mailing list. We'd love to be able to include you. We won't overwhelm your box. We wish we were together enough to overwhelm your box, but we aren't. You'll get a few basic some things along the way. We're working on it. We're getting ready to launch a new website. We do have a website now, livingalternatives.org. It's okay, but there'll be one with more videos and things like that on it. If you would like to contribute to the ministry, that would be a huge blessing. And again, the information's all right here. So I'll give it back to Pastor Marvin, and thanks so much.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Bev, Tricia, and thank you for coming here today and learning all about living alternatives. One other kind of housekeeping sort of thing here, as you look back there, we've got lots more chicken than we can possibly, I don't know what to do with it. So if you want to take some chicken home, we actually have some clamshells, little boxes, carry-out boxes in the pantry. So we'll get those out. Take some chicken home with you so we can kind of get rid of all this and go home and enjoy it. Let me pray and then we're done. Father, thank you today for the opportunity to worship you, to spend time in fellowship around you, again, to learn about something exciting that you're doing just really close to us at Living Alternatives. Thank you for Bev. We thank you for Tricia. We thank you for the roles that you have designed them for and placed them in those ministries there. We thank you for our opportunity to become partners with that as well. So with all of that in mind, we just pray that you'll continue to bless and continue to make this an avenue through which lives are saved and lives are changed because they come to a knowledge of Jesus Christ as Savior and Lord. And so for all of that, we'll pray and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.